Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of Wrestle Rewind. Tonight is September 5th, 2019, and tonight's episode is going to be a little bit different. I'm your host, as usual, with Tommy T. We are missing my sidekick and my partner in crime, Double K, who had to step out for a family emergency this evening. So our thoughts and prayers are with him and his family, and we wish them nothing but the best. We do not have any further information at this time. However, with all things that happen in the wrestling world, and I think even Vince McMahon himself would agree, the show must go on. And I don't think that Double K would be disappointed by our desire to do so. I don't think he would expect anything less of us, actually, than to go on with the show. I'm positive that if a man had to miss a show, Double K probably would just remove her chair and make sure her absence wasn't even noticed. But
pretty much,
it's one less person to compete for him for Wrestle Rewind Trivia. You're pretty much competing with yourself because
so I'm pretty much guaranteed to win.
Hey. Yes. So, folks, welcome Smokey Z for his first time being on full face camera. He is, usually hiding over here in the corner, which is actually going to make our Poke the Bear segment even better.
I'm not even allowed to be on the screen.
So, well, it's not that you're not allowed to be on the screen. It's just you're not usually there.
Nope.
So tonight's going to be a focus show primarily around AEW All Out. There was a segment that we had planned where Double K and myself were going to provide some unfiltered feedback about AEW in general. I'm still going to provide that feedback, and I'm sure she's going to review the show with me as we talk through All Out. Smokey, I know you didn't have a chance to watch the show. It was your birthday, so you spent that night drunk.
Yes, but
what we are going to do is kind of run through AEW All Out, and with all things AEW, we're going to let A-Man take the lead on that conversation. So I'm going to turn it over to you at this time.
Okay, well, I think we should start with the breaking news that was just released maybe an hour ago or so, that it's going to be Chris Jericho versus Cody at Full Gear, their pay-per-view in November, for the AEW World Heavyweight title. I know Tommy T has a lot of thoughts, so I figured that would kind of tie in with him winning the main event as well, and also with his whole catastrophe with the title this week. So, I know you just have a lot that you want to get off your chest about this whole situation, so... Tommy T?
It's a lot of things that he can't say. That he
I know. His face is red, so that's
you're right. There are a lot of things that I want to say about AEW All Out. But before I do that, I want to talk about the things that I think they deserve to be given credit for.
Okay.
Right off the bat, I will tell you that the match of the night for me at All Out was Kenny Omega versus Pac. Or Neville, or whatever you want to call him. That match in itself was the absolute best match on that card.
I agree.
Those two guys put on a hell of a show, even to find out later that they had to cut that match short because of the fact that I guess they ran out of time for whatever reason.
Well, it's because every match goes like 15 and 20 minutes long.
Yeah, which makes no sense when you have 10 matches on a card. I think that, we talked about that a little bit last week about how many matches they had on the card and what that was going to look like when we got the finished product. But I really do believe that those two guys, I will never be a Kenny Omega fan, but I am truly appreciative of the show that he and Pac put on throughout All Out. It was an incredible match.
I don't think...
And the fact that they were great matches, but if you want to talk about the fact that, people complain that kayfabe is dead... Well, look no further than Kenny Omega, because, he killed it. With it's just not believable, and we've talked a lot on this show about believability.
Yes.
And he's done some things that just, you wrestled a blow-up doll. Thanks for, creating a criticism on the face of the wrestling industry that it didn't need because it already has enough excuses.
Fair.
So...
Why?
I guess it seemed like a good idea. Now, however, but wrestling
When does that ever sound like a good idea?
well, but wrestling in Japan's different than over here. So wrestling in Japan, like kayfabe isn't even a thing for them. It's just so the spirit of what they do is built in the ring. And they don't rely on 40-minute long promo conversations or, 66 minutes of no wrestling action to kick off a mainstream show. They don't rely on that. They rely on the actual in-ring storytelling to drive their business. And
it's a blow-up doll.
I'm not going to defend what Kenny Omega did, but if you go back and watch the match, you'll be impressed at the ability of the blow-up doll because he made it believable. And it's the same thing with the 9-year-old girl. I mean, she clotheslined the hell out of Kenny Omega. I mean, she might have been nicking him at his knees, but she did it. So, but that's why, like, I think that Kenny Omega, for me, like, it's just he has a stained image in my mind.
Okay.
Because I think he's a birthmark on the face of the wrestling industry that people wish they could get rid of.
Ouch.
So, furthermore, I also want to give.
Look the other way on that one.
Yeah. Folks, there's a reason why this show was advertised as an unfiltered review of AEW because I guarantee you I'm going to have a lot of unpopular opinions. I'm okay with that. But there will not be any mistake about how I feel after wasting 3 hours of my life watching that program on Saturday night.
It was longer. It was almost until like 12. Right?
It was almost 4.5 hours.
Yeah,
by the time they were done.
Yeah.
But I say 3 because not all of that was a waste.
Oh, yeah,
there were parts of it that were valid. So to give credit to, I don't care what anybody says, and Cody Rhodes could dispute me face to face, and I would tell him that as a fan, not as a critic of the wrestling industry, but as a fan, the Cody Rhodes we get today is not the Stardust that we had then. His in-ring work is different. How he carries himself, and maybe that's part of the character,
right? That's what you're, okay, yeah,
absolutely.
absolutely.
So
I was about to say, like,
his development into what he is now as the American Nightmare is really what he should have always been. Mm-hmm. And he's remarkable. And if he had that stigma, and maybe he tried, and WWE capped him, that's entirely possible. We don't know what the politics are there, but the reality of it is that what we have now as Cody Rhodes is not what we got when he was in WWE. I mean, it just wasn't.
No.
I mean, he took a huge chair shot to the head.
So, well, yeah, but I mean, that was also a botched chair shot.
Right.
And then they were trying to talk about how they gimmicked the chair and all that. I mean, there's just so much that's unnecessary. Because one thing WWE has done well is that some of the points that they have made where it's not necessary for them to do certain things to carry a program, they've proven that it works. Well, AEW is now trying to rewrite that and say, no, we can do it better because we're going to be willing to take the risk that you can't. I hate to tell you, but Vince McMahon's been there, done that, got the T-shirt.
Yeah. Like
and so if you're trying to rewrite a book or recreate the wheel, you probably need to start looking more at what they're doing because right now, based off of what I saw Saturday at AEW All Out, I won't even give them the same credit I gave them last week of being a WCW ripoff. They're an ECW upgrade. And that is the best quality that I will give them. Their tag team match was filled with nothing but spots. It told no story. It was nothing more than a gimmick match without a gimmick. You did no justice to the women who you put on the pre-show to compete in a battle royal, and you let some of the most talented females get tossed out of the ring within the first 5 minutes of the event. So I could care less who won it.
And then did you notice, too, how they had it set up where they came out in groups?
Yeah.
You didn't even get your individual entrance, which part of, and I get...
Maybe it was time savings, I don't know. And I really don't have a grief with the way they did that. I don't.
No, but it's just, again, it's just,
But what I felt like...
They're already on the pre-show. At least let them have their minute and a half, maybe minute max that it takes them to get to the ring. Just, I don't know.
So what I see with AEW is the opposite of what I see with WWE right now. WWE has done an outstanding job of showcasing the women and the talent that they have on their rosters. They have done an outstanding job doing it. There were 3 women that main evented an arena with 90,000 people in it. Mm-hmm. We were there. Everybody in this room was there.
Mm-hmm.
AEW stuck their women on a pre-show, and you've held off even introducing your women's division.
People risked, thinking back to WrestleMania, missing the train back to New York.
To finish watching that match.
Yeah. That's why the second the bell rang, I was one of the people who had to beeline it for the train because, of course, it was poorly executed, but it was a risk that we weren't going to make it out of there, or if we were, it would be until 5 o'clock in the morning. But there was no way I was missing that main event.
No, and I wish I had better things to say.
And there's still hope for it.
There's so much hope, but with every show they do, I'm losing more and more of my faith. So what I got now, I mean, I'm expecting when it launches on TNT, I'm going to be watching ECW on TNN. I mean, that's really what the caliber of the quality that they're getting. I mean, Nico and I were having a consistent conversation throughout the pay-per-view, and at one point, I'm not going to say which one of us said it, but the exact quotes was, AEW is the shits. I mean, that was the quote. And so I felt bad saying it because I went into it with so much hope, because Double or Nothing was one of the best wrestling events that we've seen. All In was one of the best wrestling events that we've seen because it was special. There were matches we hadn't seen before. But now you're trying to build a program, but you're not telling a story.
So it's literally people just wrestling.
Well, and that's why...
Wrestling is a storytelling business, folks.
But that's why I feel like you can't really be too hard on them right now because all they've had is YouTube and things like that nature to build and make any type of storyline going into any of these pay-per-views. My looking on the bright side view is at least starting in October, they're going to have the chance to weekly build to something. Like we already know when the first pay-per-view is going to be, and last week we didn't know. Last week that was one of the questions, like how is their pay-per-view structure going to work? When is the next one going to be? Is it going to be 4 pay-per-views
That's
a year,
fair.
6? So while this pay-per-view wasn't my favorite of theirs, and I don't know if disappointed is the right word. I think I was maybe let down by certain aspects of the show, but I'm not as concerned as some people because I think they haven't really had an opportunity. They couldn't really tell stories within these past, 4 months because they haven't really had a chance to build towards anything, predominantly. Because their YouTube channel gets, 200,000 views? 500,000 views? Within, a week of an episode being out, so I don't watch I don't think I've ever seen a Being the Elite episode, honestly. I've seen clips, and if anything, newsworthy came out of it, then, I'd watch it, but I don't think I've never seen a full episode. But yet, I'm still intrigued, So
here's where I'm concerned. How long did they have to put together Kenny Omega and Pac?
Less than a week, right?
Less than a week.
Yeah.
No.
Less than a week to put that match together, and you did it. But you didn't spend a damn dime doing it to the rest of them. So clearly your focus was on certain people.
But not others.
Oh, well, and I agree. The build-up for Cody and Shawn Spears match was phenomenal. The promo videos they did, Brandy's video that she did was amazing.
It was, but there was. I'm so glad you brought that up because there was a point in that pay-per-view where I literally had to pause and I had one of the WTF moments. So
I wonder if it was the same time.
I love JR. I love him to death. One of the most iconic voices in the history of the business, without doubt.
Slobber Knocker.
There you go. Kind of like Double K's Smash Mouth. Just Double K wishes he could be that good. So when you look at right before the Cody Rhodes Shawn Spears match, JR spent about a minute and a half talking about the feud, and he said, folks, we're going to show you this video package, and it's going to tell you everything you need to know about Shawn Spears, Cody Rhodes. The video package lasted about 90 seconds. You know what it told you?
Nothing.
That Shawn hit Cody in the head with the chair and he was bleeding. Brandy was upset about how much blood he lost and Cody wanted revenge. That was all the video told you. So what was the story other than just the vengeance? Because you built up this really big story, this really big moment, for a video package that really deflated the match.
Well, in that editing version of it, yes, but for instance with Brandy's, her whole video that she put out, I think it was maybe 2 minutes long, maybe a little bit longer, she referenced their time in WWE together, traveling on the road together, and him coming over and being part of the family, being there for Thanksgiving, and being included in the Rhodes family.
That was better in the pre-show when they had that vignette that ran.
So the show that they aired on Friday night was very good.
Yeah.
I think it drove home the important factors and the important matches and why you need to tune in the following night to see it. And I think they ended up getting like 340,000 views or viewerships or something like that from that show, which is great. I think that's a promising sign for something that it really wasn't promoted that well. It was kind of last minute. There was nothing new, nothing that told you had to turn in. It was just, hey, it's a countdown to All Out.
Right.
So I think that's a good sign coming off the bat for them, viewership-wise. So
I don't have a whole lot of positive things to say.
So how'd you feel about the Cracker Barrel clash?
I saw highlights of it, and I thought it was terrible.
Did you think about me while you were watching it? Wonder what I was thinking?
I did. And I watched it on delay, so that's why I didn't text you as I was watching it. Because at that point, it was like after midnight. I was like, God, I wish I could. Like, I was so tempted to. Anyway, but what did you think of them shoving thumbtacks in Jimmy Havoc's mouth and then duct taping his mouth shut and to the chair?
It would have been great, but your camera skills need to get better, not to be zoomed up on the wrestler's mouth to see that his mouth is shut while you're dumping thumbtacks on them. So that's step 1. 2, thumbtacks on the bottom of a skateboard. It was visionary.
It was cool.
It was inventive.
It was something.
Yeah, it was something different. I could get on board with that.
And it was legit. You saw the thumbtacks in dude's back.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. I'm with it. That one wasn't bad. If you've ever touched an oak barrel in your life,
I was waiting for the barrel.
Awful.
Life.
First of all, it's solid wood. It should be very heavy.
An empty oak barrel weighs about 78 pounds.
Which is heavy.
Right. For just the barrel. Nothing in it. Empty oak barrel. They're also oak with metal bands.
Yeah.
Which adds even more.
So they don't turn to duct tape when somebody touches them.
It's like you're drinking nothing.
They don't turn to duct tape when somebody touches them. And the wood is not meant to be craft wood. I mean, I've seen tougher things in a nursing home than those barrels.
You know a lot about nursing homes.
So I do, because according to you guys, I spend a ton of time in them. But
I mean, that's what happens when you turn about 85 years old.
Yeah, I mean, it's already past my bedtime by the time we start this show.
Exactly.
True that.
So, but, I mean, my grief...
Oh, I get to work this thingy tonight.
It doesn't score automatically.
I need you to do me a favor and not say that while you and I are sitting on the same side of the table.
The little thingy, yeah, I'm sorry, that's
so...
The extensive package.
Yes.
This is so cool.
What really blows my mind is the fact that they sold it as a way of... You want to be hardcore wrestling? Thumbtacks? Great.
Right.
Hitting somebody with a fake barrel that's made of styrofoam? Not impressive. And I give the guys credit for selling it well, but give me a break.
Go back to the chair shots.
The thing that bothered me the most in that match was, again, Darby Allin holding the barrel, jumping backwards onto the steel steps. What?
There's so many things wrong with the statement you just made.
Wait, did I say that? Did it come out
No,
wrong?
no, you're good. But the fact that it happened is what the problem is.
Oh, yeah. No.
So, one, Darby Allin fell through a styrofoam barrel and it crippled him for the rest of the match. That's problem number 1. Problem number 2 was anybody who, if you go rewatch that match, at least Havoc made it look like the barrel was heavy.
Right.
As opposed to...
And that's the thing, too, because Darby's
As
so
opposed to
tiny.
Darby holding it with his fingertips in his hands, dangling,
And climbing the ropes.
and then climbing the ropes with it, and you could clearly tell that there was no... Or when somebody gets slammed on it, again, if you've dealt with an oak barrel, I mean, I saw them cut in half.
Because if you think about it, the first pay-per-view that it was ever even brought into play, how was that All In? When it was in the corner of the ring?
Yes.
When they tried to get it out, it was so heavy, they couldn't move, they couldn't push it under the ropes. Like, it
Right.
took, they struggled,
So-
grown men struggled, 2 of them, to get it out of the ring.
Yeah, so when I saw the barrel, I'm going to tell you exactly what I thought of, and it was the person who got them that barrel is probably the same person that designed the pyro and the throne for Cody to hit with a hammer. Because they both look just as cheap.
Yeah.
So I get what you're trying to do, and I get your message. I get the mentality, but I'm going to tell you that as a wrestling fan, and maybe it's just me being overly critical, but at the same time, it is not believable for a grown man to hold a solid oak barrel with his fingertips and then jump backwards, missing his opponent. But it's just like, guys, there's nobody here that believes wrestling. I mean, I'm not going to say that it's not real, but we all understand what wrestling is. It's skilled choreography of actors. That's what it is. And this was the difference between going to go see a Broadway and going to go see a High School Musical. That was the difference.
Oh, okay.
So AEW, if you're going to go to TNT, I'm sorry that TNT has to broadcast your show, because the end of WCW is still better than what you have.
Ooh.
I would rather go back and watch those episodes, which were awful,
They were awful.
than
So
watch AEW. I mean, again, I say that with no discredit to some of the guys that were on there, and it's going to be the unpopular opinion. I'm fine with that, but I paid $60 to waste 3 hours of my life. And I've said the same thing about WWE pay-per-views, but you know what? I can't even believe I'm about to do this, so bear with me. That's only $10 a month, $9.99 on the WWE Network.
Mm-hmm.
At least I got to enjoy my
Not
Saturday night.
$60 for me to waste 3 hours of my life, because I believe that everybody on that card was talented. I believe that everybody on that card went out there and did what they wanted to do, put on a show for the fans. But let's move. So we're not even going to talk about some of the controversies that are surrounding this show. But let's move to the tag team match, which wasn't a match. It was a very highly choreographed episode of spot after spot after spot that told no story and just gave 2 tag teams an opportunity to get out there and go dance. And that's what they did. I'm not arguing that they're not talented, but their ability to be able to put on a wrestling match, well, I mean, first you're going to have to show me you can wrestle. And not just go out there and put on a bunch of spots. Because I could pick the worst WWE. Ryback was good at spots. Hell, Great Khali was good at spots.
Good golly.
Folks, that's why this is the unfiltered episode, because I'm not pulling any punches about what I think about AEW.
So, like I said, I watched the highlights. But listening to y'all talk about it, seems like I didn't miss anything.
Well, I would definitely check out Kenny Omega versus.
Well, I saw the...
Is it
like
Pac
I said,
or
I saw
Pac
the
now?
highlights.
It's Pac now?
Pac.
Wasn't it
PAC.
Pac? But it was Pac at one point.
I think that's just the way people pronounced it, because that's the way we always did X-Pac.
Oh,
But
it's-
every
it's
time
always
he
supposed
says
to
it,
be Pac?
it's Pac.
Okay. I'm sorry. Keep going.
But I watched the highlights. That match, of the highlights that I saw, I thought it was pretty good.
Oh, yeah. It
But
was a
I've
really
always-
good match. And the
I've
finish
always
was
enjoyed
really good.
watching Pac or Neville or whatever you want to call him. Every time I've watched him wrestle, it's always been entertaining.
Yeah, he's phenomenal.
He's just phenomenal.
And he's in, like, stupid great shape. It's, like, it's sickening. He's just amazing. But he's still not officially part of their roster, right?
I think that's a little bit up into the air. I think they have not officially announced him as part of the roster, but I believe the expectation right now is that he's going to remain with AEW at least for a little while.
Because he's not going back to WWE.
Not anytime soon.
No. And honestly,
and they didn't use him the way that they should have used him. He's a remarkably talented individual.
He's much better outside of WWE.
Could you imagine a match between him and Ricochet?
I'm not sure you'd be able to keep up, but however, I have a problem with that match.
What's that?
Because it's going to turn into the same thing that we dealt with. It's a spot match. That's what it's going to be. What I love about Ricochet is his ability to be able to blend that, because he's good both as a spot performer and being able to wrestle. So is Pac. Kenny Omega has an incredible ability to wrestle and still do spots. But there are plenty of opportunities throughout the broadcast for AEW's All Out where they literally should have just gone all out and not even shown up to the show. It was a waste of the money that I spent in it. And so there was a point, and folks, if you want to challenge me on this, that's fine. Go back and take a look and watch as the fans counted down to the end of the show.
Did
did I send that message to you guys?
About
could y'all hear the timing, like someone counting down the end of the show? Like maybe it was a camera guy, but someone, they were like 10 seconds and literally counted from 10 all the way down, and then once they got to 1, they're like, and out, and then it just faded away. I'm like, how could I hear that?
But if you go back and watch,
which is fun, I thought it was actually kind of cool. Like, I'm not knocking it. Like, I thought it was.
But if you go back and watch, Jimmy Havoc came out to the ring twice.
Did he really?
Because his name showed up on 2 different people.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. I thought you meant like physically came down to the ring. Yeah, I saw that.
But if you're the guy that does the graphics in the back,
in all fairness, I showed you guys your souvenir book from WrestleMania 35.
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
They messed up Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson's name. So.
However, WWE doesn't produce those books; they're produced by the venue.
Well, still, like
the other part of that too is
it's your brand.
I agree with you, but here's the difference. You know what happens when you screw up something like that in WWE?
You're fired.
You don't have a job.
Fired.
I mean, yeah. But regardless, things happen.
And I agree. I agree, but they had so many things that just built on this show.
Just added to it.
That it really became a joke. I mean, that's what it became.
A shit show.
Yes.
And Jason Mitchell, I agree with you 100%. I would go on to call you that not only was the match of the weekend Walter versus Tyler Bate in NXT UK, I would go on to say that was the match of the year in professional wrestling so far. Those two guys put on a 45-minute, 36-second wrestling classic in the UK, and everyone that steps inside of a televised squared circle should be envious of what those two guys were able to do. There was a tremendous size difference. There was a tremendous ability difference between the two guys. A style difference. Mm-hmm. Walter's a brawler. Tyler Bates a grappler and a wrestler. But those two guys put on a clinic that would make Ric Flair proud.
Ric Flair.
That would make John Cena proud.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, those guys, you want to watch what professional wrestling should be nowadays? Go watch that match.
Yeah. I can't say any better myself. It was phenomenal.
And AEW, in its best match of Kenny Omega and Pac, didn't even hold a candle to that match. And that was a damn good match at that.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Nope, you're good. Go ahead.
I just wanted to kind of touch back on the women's situation in AEW really quick before we move on, because I'm kind of concerned. I think maybe I'm biased, but me personally right now, that's one of the main things that I'm concerned about.
So I'm going to ask you a controversial question. It wasn't on our script. It's not on here, so this is going to be my moment to throw the script away.
Is this the conversation we had before the show?
Yep.
Got it.
But I'm going to ask you, and you'll know why I'm going to ask you when I ask you.
All right.
So...
kind of scary.
Folks, bear with me here, because I don't mean any disrespect by any of this. Nyla Rose is the first publicly signed transgender performer in the wrestling industry in the United States to a main wrestling promotion. for all intensive purposes, as a sex, she is still a he. Gender, she identifies as a female. How do you, as a female... I don't have a dog in this fight, so that's why I don't really have an opinion on it. But as a female, if you were competing in that ring, how does that make you feel?
I don't know. Honestly, personally, I would view it as a challenge.
Okay.
I wouldn't think anything negatively about it. I'm not going to say I wouldn't care, because obviously, like, she's going to be stronger than me. Like, she's going to have the size and the strength advantage, but to me, it's kind of the same thing as, like, an Awesome Kong, size-wise and body-wise. Like, to me, whatever she is under her clothes doesn't, like, it has nothing to do with me. So, as long as I know... I don't know everything about it, but I know if people are transitioning, they are taking certain medications and steroids and testosterone. That would be my only concern.
Well, she's transitioning from a male to become a female.
Well, right, but so I don't know what other medicines or prescriptions they have to take. That would be my only concern. But honestly, like, it wouldn't really bother me. I know it's very sensitive to a lot of people. And,
for a lot of different reasons.
Yeah, and I get it. That's fine. Like, everyone can have their opinion, but for me, it wouldn't bother me at all. I don't even really think about that. Like, for instance, on Saturday when I was watching her wrestle, I didn't even think about it. When she won, I was upset because I wanted Britt Baker to win, and I thought Britt Baker would.
I think everybody thought Britt Baker was going to win.
Well, yeah, and when she won, when Nyla won, I was like, well, I wonder if they were just doing that to swerve people, which they may not have been, but that was just where my mind went immediately. But I was more disappointed in that aspect than anything else. Like, I honestly didn't even think about what she really is. So. Well,
and again, I don't mean any disrespect by it. I've seen so many commentaries and so many opinions on it over the past 5 days.
I think it would be different if it was a secret and no one knew anything. And so that's why I feel like it's kind of unfair to people to be so, like, harsh on her. Like, she acknowledged who she was and who she is now and what she truly feels like she should have been from the beginning. So that's her personal situation, and that's who she is. So that has nothing to do with anyone else.
She's talented.
Right.
I mean, she's
still
very
a little
talented.
green, yeah, but I think in the future can be very good for them. But people are just so mean, man, just so mean. It's
well, I think
scary.
A lot of people in our society today forget what it means to be human.
Yeah,
which means we are born with flaws, and none of us are perfect, and we are each our own. And I mean, I hate to bring it to you, but at our core, we're still animals.
Right,
like, I mean, we are.
Yeah.
I was having this conversation with somebody close to me recently. That it's just not. Your opinion's your opinion, and you're entitled to your opinion. I agree with you 100%. I admire AEW and what they're trying to do with this. I think that it is certainly something that can, if done the right way, be a major milestone within the wrestling industry, if it's done the right way.
And she could be their AEW's Sonya Deville. Meaning Sonya was the first openly lesbian on the roster.
So here's my fear, though. If you build her as this invincible person, you know what some people are going to tie that to.
Because she's a man?
Mm-hmm.
So, again, if done the right way, this could be a major milestone.
And I'm not saying that I want that to be a storyline or involved in her character in any way, but I'm saying on the outside, just like with Sonya Deville's character on screen is not anything revolving her sexuality.
It's not her. Yeah.
It's not her. She does wear the rainbow flag in her back pocket,
but she's entitled to do
that. Right. But it has nothing to do with who she is as a actual human being on the outside in the real world. But in the same token, you see her going out to pride festivals and things like that. So I think that could be very good for AEW being Nyla Rose because she is different. This is the first ever that we all know about.
Right.
Transgender wrestler. So I think it could be very beneficial for them. So I don't know. It's just, I don't.
Well, and I'm not trying to muddle in the politics of it. That's not what the intention of it was. I just, I wanted a female perspective of it because I've read opinions on both sides of it as to what people think about it, and I think it's great. If it's done the right way, it's a major milestone. If not, it could be catastrophic. And I don't mean that just for AEW. I mean it could be catastrophic to her career if it's not done the right way. And as many people would say nowadays, folks, it's 2019. There's some stuff you just need to get over. It's part of our society, is what happens. You don't have to like it, but ultimately, if it doesn't impact you, get over it.
And the great thing about it is,
for people to hear nowadays.
Well, yeah,
it is,
but you can just not watch it.
Well, right.
And
you're choosing to.
Yeah.
If you don't want to support it, don't spend your money on it.
Right.
I stopped watching the NFL for a while because I didn't support what they were doing, so I stopped watching.
Right.
I didn't go out and launch protests for it. I did my own protest. I just stopped providing them my ratings. I stopped buying their merchandise. That was my protest. So I still think that they did not do any justice to Nyla Rose with what they did with the women's battle royal. I just think it was very poorly done.
And that made me wonder if they're going to twist it into like a triple threat and add Britt Baker in down the road.
Yeah.
I hope, because I was so disappointed when she got, which I guess is the point, but I was just so bummed for her when they like literally eliminated her. I forget who it was on the outside, but pulled her arm down. Like, so we've seen it thousands of times before.
Right. And I've got another question. As I looked and I scrolled down here, and there were a couple things I almost forgot about from AEW that tells you how memorable they were. But as I got to them, there was a tag team, and I'm going to talk about two parts here. I want to talk about the match, and then I want to talk about the image. So the Dark Order, and the versus the Best Friends. The match, not that bad, pretty good match. I am confused as hell by the characters.
But by the Dark Order?
Yes.
Did you hear what the audience was chanting?
No.
Shirtless perverts.
Well, that's because the Best Friends called them that.
Oh, well, that makes sense then.
They called them perverts. But I just... There was some... I mean, there's a local indie promotion that we've been to that I would have expected those two guys to show up at. Based off the way they were dressed. And it's not one of them that hosts its events in actual venues.
Oh.
So, I was just confused.
And
maybe that's the intention of the character. And if that's the intention, well done.
Perfect.
You did you did a great job. Thank you. As a wrestling fan, you did exactly what I would have thought you should have done.
Yeah.
Do you know who I'm talking about, Smokey? The Dark Order?
Well, I know
Nico, can you do me a favor and throw us a picture of the Dark Order up here on the screen so Smokey can see what A-Man and I are talking about? And I'm pretty sure one of them, he tried out for the cast of Frankenstein and got rejected. And he's still wishing that he can be Igor.
All right, so...
They're talented.
The guy in the mask looks like a ripoff of Shark Boy from Impact.
Well, but he looks like he ate Shark Boy.
Right. That's fine. That's a ripoff.
Are we going to get a full size screen? No pun intended. Yeah, there you go. But no discredit to the fact that they're talented. I mean, they were remarkably talented. The match was entertaining.
I think they would be better without all those shirtless perverts out there.
Thank you, Amen.
You're welcome. I just feel like it needed to be said. I mean, not for nothing. Like, all jokes aside, yes, but I'm serious when I say that.
Yeah.
You know? First of all, just cut them out because
Nico just
creeps
stop.
Me out.
That creeps me out. If you know,
that's unnecessary, Nico.
But so But see, that's another thing that concerns me about AEW. That's a chant that in WWE would draw heavy criticism. One, because of the age group of folks that are in the crowd. But I'm going to tell you, I attended a local indie show in Virginia where Scott Steiner came out.
Oh,
And we have another podcast that was taping at that show, and we could not even air that podcast because of how vulgar Scott Steiner, he started, and folks, I am not making this up, Scott Steiner started a fat ass chant and had kids chanting it with him.
this is 100% true.
It was bad enough that that promotion had to turn around and publicly apologize the following day.
Not to mention he dropped the F-bomb.
Yes. He said, fat fornication under consent of the king.
Right.
That was what...
Wow.
That's
I've
actually,
never heard that before.
that's actually where that word comes from. That's its origin.
Really?
Yeah, it's an acronym.
Can you say it one more time?
Fornication under consent of the king.
Really?
That's,
Wow, I need to write that
that's
down.
where that came from, folks. Hey, man, just got a history lesson.
I was sitting here and I watched her. It clicked. She's like,
Yeah.
huh? Oh.
You just said the words and it...
So, as
Acronym.
We'll talk
as we
Acronym.
as we go through this, you know, that was an episode that made me very uncomfortable as a podcast host, and you know, having folks of all age ranges that listen.
We were actually supposed to be having that live, but
Well, I'm so grateful that we were not live,
Exactly.
Because that would have been a moment where I would have violated some FCC violations.
we would have had to stop right there.
So yeah, the last part that I want to talk about here is how about the debut that we saw at AEW? Who showed up? Any man? You got anything for me?
Arn Anderson?
Nope. Well, that wasn't a debut. He started wrestling a long time ago.
Well, no, in AEW. His debut in AEW. Wait,
Folks, if you remember, there was a tag team that left Impact Wrestling recently, and they made their AEW
I watched it.
debut on Saturday.
More important things to do.
Yeah, I know.
If when I'm sorry, that's actually what the word stands for. I can't help you with that. On a side note, though, I learned that from an 8-year-old at the YMCA when he corrected me when I told him that was a bad word, and he said, "No, it's not. It's an acronym," and repeated that to me, and that was how I learned it. And that was from an 8-year-old.
Brilliant.
So it's probably her future son.
In the...
Anyways, getting back to the topics on hand, LAX made their debut. We don't know what they're going to go by in AEW, but LAX did make their debut at All Out. And, you know, I don't think that was much of a surprise to anybody. We knew that they were going to show up somewhere, and I kind of figured it wasn't going to be WWE.
No.
However, we did predict... I think I predicted them being Jericho's mystery tag team partners, but now that they've debuted, who's going to be his partners?
It's still a possibility, though.
I mean, yeah, but it was supposed to be like a surprise.
I mean,
That's not
it's
really...
probably going to be Enzo and Cass. I mean, it's...
Did you see they're
that's-
going to be at Big Time Wrestling?
I did, and that's the same caliber of AEW, so I would expect them to show up there.
I'm actually
Cool.
excited to see Cass. Like,
But
I wanna go to see-
on a side note, we are actually going to make an effort to get Big Cass and Enzo on our show. While they're down here in Richmond, we're going to try to get, if nothing else, more than 30, 45 minutes with them. And,
Well,
you know,
because I-
give us an opportunity to get some folks that we typically don't get a chance to hear from. And that was a combination idea between Smokey and Nico. And so I'm going to start
Good job,
the legwork
guys.
on that to see if we can make that happen.
That would be so interesting.
So
WFT.
the that's yes. But anyways,
Except Big Cass don't look too soft anymore.
no, he hit the gym and he spent some time with DDP. And so speaking of which, we got to see at All Out. Diamond Dallas Page was
Yeah.
there.
And poor Pharaoh was terrified of the pyro.
Yes, it was heartbreaking. I should have just let the
So
dog stay in
sad.
the back.
It's so sad.
Well, I don't think it was a mixture of the pyro, the music. It's just
but
loud.
he was a lot closer this time to the pyro than I think he has ever been before.
So
Because he normally just walks right on by. I gotta meet him one day. He's so cool.
it is. It's going to be interesting to see, where things go with his character, with Pharaoh coming out there, and how they're going to manage that in the future. I actually don't think it does the dog any justice by having him out there. He clearly does not like it. So why put him through it? If it's for your entrance, then you're failing because your dog was miserable.
It's just that one time.
Well, it's not going to get any better when they're doing it live on TV every week.
Do you think they'll have pyro every week?
WCW did.
Well, I mean, WWE did too.
Well, I mean, they used to. But if they're trying to follow in ECW's footsteps, which are already in the track one, it'll be somebody holding a sparkler. So.
Okay. Anything else you want to talk about? The card?
All
Out card?
How about the main event? Chris Jericho doing exactly what we said he was going to do and make the mistake of winning the AEW World title.
And
then going and getting drunk at Logan Steakhouse and losing the world title. And in fact, folks, we're going to do you one better, just in case you did not realize that that happened. We here at Wrestle Rewind have secured the video clips of Jericho both talking about losing his title and finding it. So, Nico, if you're ready over there, I'm going to turn it over to you so we can watch Jericho in his hot tub drinking his bubbly as the AEW champion. And his loss of AEW's, and I'm not making this up, $30,000 title belt.
Oh. Is that much? Jeez.
Hi, I'm AEW champion Chris Jericho. And unfortunately, less than 24 hours
What the
after I
scarf?
became the first AEW champion, with blood streaming down my face after one of the hardest matches I've ever had in my life, some lowlife scumbag committed grand larceny and robbed me of the AEW championship. Now as I sit here in my palatial estate, my beautiful mansion, getting ready to have a little bit of the bubbly, I'm just imagining what I would do to that son of a bitch if he was here right now. And as a result, I am launching a worldwide investigation using the top private investigators in the world today to find out who committed this crime. And trust me, as the AEW champion, as your Le Champion, I promise to regain and restore and find and reclaim the AEW championship. And once again, give you another reason to finally give me the thank you that I deserve. You're welcome.
Didn't he say reclaim twice?
Well, I mean, he'd have to reclaim it twice. Once from the thief and once from the police. So let's just talk about the value of it. There's some now questions that are coming up as to, was it stolen? The police department that located the belt said it was found on the side of the road. So was it stolen? Or did Jericho just get drunk and lose it? Which, by the way, let's not talk about the fact that he's so classy he got drunk at Logan Steakhouse.
Right.
Let's not talk about on the bubbly. And folks,
But he took like a private jet and rode a limo there. So
Why Logan
have you been to a Logan Steakhouse?
It's terrible.
I mean, yeah, like maybe. Wait, are they the ones with the peanuts on the floor?
Nope, that's Texas Roadhouse, so you're not even close. But
Oh.
It's similar, but
Logan
They're both
Steakhouse, if you've ever had a steak from
A Stoke?
a steak from Logan Steakhouse, it's the same thing if you just go find a leather belt and chew on it.
or a tire.
But so that's where Jericho chose to go after he won and had the blood dripping down his face, which it wasn't; it had dried by that point.
Drinking bubbly.
Bubbly.
And drinking the bubbly as he was basking in the glory of being Le Champion.
You know he has a T-shirt with that on it now.
I can believe it. There's only one person in the wrestling industry that could lose a title belt worth $30,000 and then make fun of himself while doing it, and that is none other than Chris Jericho.
Right.
So well done to him. Now we're going to watch a video clip of after he got his title belt back. Again, $30,000 belt was what it was valued as. So yes, it would have been grand larceny. He is correct in that. But there's no evidence as to who stole the belt. It was found on the side of the road.
But I heard that
Maybe he just dropped it.
But I heard
who
he
knows?
grabbed the wrong luggage from the airport, got into the limo, went and ate, came back, realized the title wasn't in the bag, then realized he had the wrong bag.
God, I hope that's the case,
And
because that
then-
means somebody thought so poorly of the AEW title that they
They
left
threw
that
it
damn
out
thing
on
on
the
the side of the
floor.
road. Oh, God, I pray that was the case.
That's-
They probably didn't realize how much money they were throwing out the door. I was like, what the hell is this?
Right.
They found some really nice scarves, some
heavy-
female underwear,
this
and they decided they didn't
heavy-ass
want the
belt.
belt. And, because they had his luggage, they just didn't want the belt. Kept everything else.
Heavy ass belt.
So
So crazy.
yeah, that is what it is. Nico, I'm going to turn it back over to you so we can take a look at Chris Jericho talking about getting his title back.
Hi, I'm AEW champion Chris Jericho.
Sunburn.
And less than 24 hours after I launched a worldwide investigation to find my missing championship title,
Why is he just screaming Ric Flair to me right now?
I think it's
that's not
nice.
really long.
His age is starting to show.
Too busy with posting pictures on Twitter and then deleting them and then posting them again, or a funny meme or a clever GIF. It's because of me. It's because I put the fear of God into the hearts of those who wronged me, who committed grand larceny. I told you I hired the best professional private investigators in the world today. As a result, I got back the most coveted prize in professional wrestling
It's
today.
huge.
The most coveted prize in the world, period. Worth more than Marcellus Wallace's briefcase.
And what?
More valuable than Han Solo chipped in carbonite.
Oh.
More critically
The briefcase from
feared
Pulp Fiction.
than the Ark of the Covenant. The AEW Championship title is back where it belongs. Over the shoulder of the
It's an
champion.
ugly belt.
And as I sit in my palatial estate, my beautiful mansion,
In comparison to other wrestling belts, it's beautiful, but
Have you
It's-
seen the women's title? that they
Yeah.
made?
I once
Oh
again
my
demand.
god.
You think it's actually bubbly or just water?
Now more than ever, a thank you from the entire
What'd you say?
AEW
I said, you think it's
fan
actually
base,
bubbly or just
from
water?
the entire
No, it's probably
AEW
bubbly.
roster,
Dude drinks a lot.
Backstage, front office, in the ring, all across the board, because I did once again exactly what I told you I was going to do. I got this championship back, and I am never, ever letting it out of my sight again.
Okay.
I'm never going to lose it. I'm never going to be robbed of it. You're going to have to pry it out of my cold, dead hands if you want to take this from Chris Jericho ever again. And that's fine. I'm in no rush as I await for all of you to bow down on your knees and thank me. It's good to be the champion.
La Champion.
You're welcome.
So there you have it, the one shining gem that exists in AEW. Chris Jericho himself and
La
the
Champion.
La Champion. And I just hope and pray that they do the right thing and let Cody Rhodes take that title. Because I think that's the right thing to do. I think the faster you get it off of Jericho, the better validation you give that brand. Chris Jericho was great, but you're talking about the guy that beat 3 70-year-old Hall of Famers at WrestleMania 10 years ago. Not a guy who just beat Stone Cold Steve Austin and The Rock in the same night yesterday. His time has come and passed. With that being said, he put on a hell of a show at AEW All Out. He and Hangman Page put on a great show. I don't think that it was the match everybody thought it was going to be, but I think it ended the way at least we thought it was going to end, with Jericho winning the title. But again, I start to challenge the storytelling portions of this, because so you built up this huge Jericho Hangman Page feud, and
But did they really?
well, yeah, they started it 2 shows ago.
But I mean, like, did they really didn't put a lot of effort into performing the match, or as much as they could have and did for other matches. So I think that's kind of telling in a way.
Maybe.
And I could be completely wrong, but
So
my take on it.
yeah, I'm not sure I got anything good to say. So, I don't think I've pulled any punches. I don't think there's any misunderstanding about how I feel.
Luchasaurus. That was the other one I wanted to talk about.
How's this guy not working in WWE?
He was in NXT, and then he did something to his leg. I think he tore something, and then he went out for rehab, all that, and then they released him. And I know him from Big Brother.
Okay.
Do y'all watch that show?
No.
I love Big Brother. But he was on there, I think, 2
Nico, can you
years
pull me a
ago?
pickup of Luchasaurus?
He was phenomenal.
Yeah,
Him and Jungle Boy. I don't really like the other little kid, but them two.
You mean the guy that flossed in the middle of the
Marco
ring?
Stunt, I think his name is. Is that his name?
Something like that.
I thought it was actually a pretty cool, unique character.
So,
Who? Luchasaurus?
Yeah.
Yeah, me too. I
Yeah.
dig it.
and he is remarkable in
Yes.
the ring. He literally is a guy that is the size of Roman Reigns, but can move like a luchador.
And he has his masters, I think, in history.
So, it's great to see somebody like that be able to do what he does.
Because I remember, man, when he was in Big Brother, because that was obviously one of his talking points, he was thinking that he was never going to be able to wrestle again.
It's just a massive dude.
Yeah.
And he almost won.
It was...
I did see that because in the highlights I saw a little bit of that match, and I was amazed on what he was doing.
Yeah.
He was flying around like
Give him a
little
few
guy.
more matches just to, like,
there's a
work a
picture
few
of
little things out. Yeah, there he
Luchasaurus
is.
and Big Brother.
Yeah.
Um,
He ended up hooking up with one of the girls, one of the twins that were on there, and they were together for a while.
so, anyways, I think we have
Yeah.
just about buried AEW enough. It's they still have a lot of things to prove in my mind. Again, I think they're an ECW upgrade, and that's only in some of their matches. And some of them, I've seen better shows in a King William Fire Department than I have in AEW. That is not to say that their stars are not talented. The folks that are on that roster are uber talented, and I just think that AEW has to find a way that they're going to showcase that's going to present a product that people are going to want to follow. I don't think you're going to continue to get people to buy in with the product that you have right now. I don't see it. So we've kind of talked about AEW all the way through. So Raw, SmackDown this week. Smokey, did you get a chance to see either of those?
I saw the very end of Raw. I did miss SmackDown. Like I said, I saw the Firefly Funhouse.
Okay. So,
Shame.
hey man, what's your thoughts?
On.
Raw and SmackDown.
Well, we'll start with Raw.
Okay.
I think the thing that stands out is, well, obviously, Firefly Funhouse. The
Yes.
segment was probably the best one that they've done yet, in my opinion. The whole addressing of him being announced to be at Hell in a Cell, him literally feeding Vince McMahon money because he's selling merchandise. Like it was.
I was my
The
jaw
whole
dropped
thing
when I
was
saw
just
that.
so cleverly done, and it was them addressing everything that we've been saying on the internet about him, but not just outright saying it, if that makes sense. Like, they put a unique twist on it. Bray was still creepy. What he did with the Rambling Rabbit, like the little help me sign, everything was just so well done. And things like that just reminds me of how good WWE can be. And I think that's why I personally get so frustrated with certain things, because we
know what they can do.
Exactly. And seeing what and granted, Bray is a special situation because the time and resources that they put into it behind the scenes in the build, you can't do that every week. But you can use that same logic, storyline and storytelling wise, to each character that you have, and just accentuate their positives and hide their negatives. So it's just, man, it's like, man, like, you almost don't want to see how good they could be because it's frustrating when they're not. Like, with things like on SmackDown with the Roman Reigns storyline and the whole catastrophe that is. So, it's like two sides of a coin there with them.
So, I think that one thing that we're learning about WWE is they still got it. I do think that, one of our viewers made the comment that they're just moving things too fast with Bray Wyatt and The Fiend.
Oh, for sure.
Oh, absolutely.
But I think the reason why is because it's the one great thing they have going right now. And so we know what WWE does when they find something that works really well is they'll drive it into the ground.
And they're not with him.
We've seen that time and time again. So as long as
they put him in a title match, though.
Yeah, but so just think about this for a second, guys. We're talking middle to the end of October. You're still a month and a half away from that. How many things change in the wrestling industry in a month and a half?
And that's what I was going to say. I don't think he's really going to be in a title match. I think their idea was that he was going to show up and maybe at the end of that match and make some type of appearance. But I don't think their plan was to ever have him. I think the venue got a little presumptuous and WWE provided the lineup for them. Yep. And they saw The Fiend on there, so they probably just assumed he's a main event act. He's got to be facing one of them. So that's just my take on it. I don't think he's going to be in the match, and I don't think he should be.
No,
not yet, or maybe ever in a title match.
I would say right now. I'm okay with it eventually happening.
Yeah, but not right now.
Maybe once, but
I just we'll see.
Yeah,
it's a month and a half from now. There's a lot of things that can change in a month and a half. Mm-hmm. Roman Reigns was the Universal Champion one night. Next night he wasn't. So there's a lot of things that can change in an instance for a variety of different reasons. So we don't really know what WWE has up their sleeve long term for their plans. But I thought both shows were really good.
SmackDown was amazing. Did you watch the whole thing?
Yes.
Did you see me on TV?
I was not looking for you. It was difficult to see you for this god-awful glow that was coming out of one of the seats in the audience. It was so bright.
Well, that was me.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, that makes sense. That's why I couldn't see half the show. Shut up. And that's what I said to you guys. Shut up. That's why you said that. There's this, she's almost neon when you put a stage light on her. So
One of my friends took a screenshot and sent it to me. I was like, oh my God, look at my arms. Like,
you're white. White.
It's so...
not that I have any room to talk. I'm white as well. Just look at the top of my head.
But it was like... Oof.
You're reflective.
Exactly. Perfect. Exactly.
Reflective. Use A-Man as a traffic cone.
So,
for sure.
For sure. Speaking of A-Man, let's move on to another man. The man. And no, I am not referencing Becky Lynch. I am talking of the walking crypt keeper, Ric Flair.
Come on.
I don't know how I got to tell you right now that I'm very...
That's the one that TMZ posted.
I'm very, very disappointed in this story. I'm very disappointed in Ric Flair. Mm-hmm. You're trying to capitalize on something that, again, you might have been the guy to make the statement, but you worked for a company when you made it. And so, this is the one thing that I always appreciated about Ric Flair was he always acknowledged the fact that he was never above the business. This, for me, is now him trying to say that he is above the business. Because this business made him and what his family has, every single thing his family has is because of the wrestling industry.
Look at his daughter.
But my thing is, like, he literally got his character from the Nature Boy Buddy Rogers.
Yep.
So, of all people to do something like this, like, when I saw that, I was like, at first, when I saw, like, a few headlines, I was like, this is gotta be fake. Like, this can't be real. And once I read, I was like, you've got to be kidding me. Like, it's just he never. Yes, he called himself a man, but it was never. He was never the man.
He never
Ric
called
Flair.
himself the man. He just
Right,
said
you just,
to be the man,
you gotta
beat the man.
So he never walked around saying, I'm the man, Ric Flair. He was the nature boy, Ric Flair. I could get if she's saying
I don't think
nature
he gets
boy.
the trademark. I don't. I think the U.S. Copyright Patent Office is going to decline it.
I just
And the arrogance of his statement to TMZ today that WWE needs to cough up the money to him for Becky Lynch using that term, I mean, get over yourself.
And all of a sudden now it's a problem.
Right. So,
and you notice he never mentioned any of this on the build to WrestleMania when his daughter was in the main event.
And his daughter's not talking to him right now.
Right.
I mean,
right.
she's angry with him over this. I mean, how much...
And did you see what he mentioned about his wife, though?
Are you...
About him being in jail, in the hospital when he almost died a couple years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And he said that Wendy was the only one who was by his side every day consistently for 31 days. And, like, he specifically said her. And then he mentioned something else about...
Charlotte left the European tour to go be by her father's side.
But he didn't mention that. And that's what, like, bothered me, probably unrightfully so. But, like, when I read that, I was like... Really? Like, your daughter was literally in a different country, and she left the tour and flew back to come be there for him.
It's just, it's sad. I mean, it really is.
I
lost a lot of respect for Ric Flair.
Yeah, I was just so disappointed
as
by
this
it.
story. When it first happened, I was kind of like, But, when I saw the TMZ interview today, I was kind of like, I mean, come on.
Right.
I thought you were better than this. Not you are better than this. I thought you were better than this. And clearly you're not. So, do me a favor, and if you want to be the man, grow a pair and be one.
And leave it alone.
So, anyways, let's move on from that one. So, creative changes coming to WWE. I'm glad you mentioned the statement of WWE struggling sometimes to get it right. There are significant creative changes going on for all of WWE shows right now. The only one that is not changing is NXT. Triple H has officially gone on the record now and said that absolutely zero is changing with NXT's creative process. He remains at the helm, and Vince McMahon will be hands off with that product. And that came from Paul Levesque himself. And the lead writer for SmackDown has taken a leave of absence from WWE, and so he will be departing his role as the lead writer. He is being replaced by Raw's current lead writer. And Raw is getting a new lead writer, which is the one that's probably the most baffling to me, and that is 205 Live's writer is moving up to take over the writing for Monday Night Raw.
And I think Ed Koskey, who was Raw's...
That's Raw's. He's moving to SmackDown.
Yeah, but I was gonna say I'm pretty sure he used to work with Eric Bischoff, or they are friendly with each other, so that'll be a good pairing, having them to work together on the same brand. So that'd be a good fit.
Yeah.
And I'm excited. I mean, what's the worst that can happen at this point? And it's good to shake things up and not just fill that one spot. Just kind of look at it as a whole and just kind of reshuffle the deck a bit, especially if they're going to be doing the draft that they're rumored to be doing in October, I believe it was, after SmackDown debuts on Fox. That'd be good to have everything in place by then, have the new writers kind of acclimated with the new shows, whatever changes are going to happen. Just go from there.
I mean, it's going to be exciting. I think it's a new time for WWE. And this actually, I'm going to fast forward to a couple of other topics that we had, and one of them being we have the upcoming draft that WWE has not officially announced yet, but the venues where those drafts are taking place have announced them for their venue, and this is going to be pre-launch date for or just post.
It's going to be the week after.
Yeah, it's just post the launch of SmackDown on Fox.
And because I think SmackDown will be in Colorado, that second show.
Yeah.
So
it's going to be interesting to see, what do you think the draft looks like? Give me your top name for Raw and your top name for SmackDown. Smokey, you take the lead.
You put Brock Lesnar on SmackDown just because fresh on Fox. I don't know. I don't know about Raw. Come
Who's
back
your-
to me on that one. I'm just getting
Amen.
time.
I say you put Seth on SmackDown and Seth on SmackDown. My top Raw guy.
It's weird when you say that.
No.
I was trying so hard to really think. Go with yours while I think about my last guy for Raw. God. Whatever. Why are you throwing stuff at me?
So, I think you're right. I think Seth Rollins goes to SmackDown.
Hope you recycle this bottle, Nico.
I think Daniel Bryan goes to Raw.
See, that's what I was thinking. But
That's what I was, yeah.
I mean, he's been on SmackDown since he was the general manager.
But he's going to get wasted on Raw.
I mean,
Well, no, I take that back.
it's
'Cause Paul
fine. He's
Heyman is...
glorified enhancement talent as it is.
No. No, he's not. Daniel Bryan?
Yeah, the worst thing he ever did was come out of retirement. Good for him. I'm glad he was able to live his
I
dream.
think maybe the worst thing that he personally could have done coming out of retirement was going back to WWE.
That's probably true.
Because maybe if he had come back now during this time, maybe it would have been different. But I think when he came back, they rushed it. He did not need to be at that WrestleMania. They rushed the entire comeback angle with him. But that's a whole other topic. But don't get me started on that. That really irked me. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe Daniel Bryan. I guess. I don't know. Or I honestly would put Roman back on Raw. Just get him out of SmackDown.
yeah,
completely.
They've got him
Completely.
doing nothing in SmackDown.
Yeah.
Seth can be your top guy and possibly actually become the face of the company if he is allowed space and just his own show, because Raw is a monster of a brand.
Yes.
And Raw is its own world. SmackDown, you have the opportunity to grow. That's why your Becky Lynch's,
Yep.
massive dudes on Raw.
Yeah.
AJ Styles, like all of them flourished on SmackDown because it's a completely different vibe. Whether it looks that way sometimes or not, but I would, yeah, definitely have Seth on SmackDown, put Roman back on Raw.
Oh. Put Bray on SmackDown.
Bray, I feel like Bray can go wherever he wants.
See, I think he gets assigned to a show. I mean, I think post Fox launch, WWE is a very different place. Because I think they've pretty much, everything's pretty much been confirmed now that we're going to have two completely separate brands.
As we should, but...
and they're going to be two very different products.
Yeah.
And I agree, that's the way it should be.
yeah.
Early thoughts on Clash of the Champions? I've attached a copy of the card.
I really want to go.
So, early thoughts, I mean, we're still 2 weeks out from Clash of the
I think
Champions.
it's going to be a strong show.
Yeah?
I have a really good feeling about it. Yeah. What they're doing with the women right now on both brands, I think, is refreshing, and the spark that both shows needed. I think we're still in the very early stages of Bayley's heel turn, and I think that's good. I think she's a slow burn.
The way WWE did it was perfect.
Oh, yeah. I was so scared that you were going to crap on it.
No, the Bayley heel turn,
Dude.
it's long overdue,
Yeah.
but it's perfect the way they did it.
When I tell you, being at SmackDown, she was the clear-cut heel. Before the show even started, there was some video they were airing on the screen, and she popped up on it. The place booed so heavily you would think she was actually out there, and then they started saying Becky sucks, or Bayley
sucks.
Yeah. Yeah, and then it was kind of confusing, though, just because, like, of course, when your younger audience gets in there, they're all Bayleyed out and everything, but...
Right.
So it was kind of confusing because they just need to be more clear-cut with the heel aspect of it. But I love the slow take that they're going with it, because we didn't need to hear everything A through Z on SmackDown. They need to just drag this out. And I like that Sasha came out to help Bayley, because it just reinforced that Bayley can be as strong, if not stronger than Sasha, and Bayley can be her own person.
Yeah.
They can team up if they need to, but they can be...
But they don't need each other.
They don't, exactly. I like that they're gear still matches, because it's like just like a nice little callback. But I think this week was good. have Sasha come out and help Bayley. Now keep them separate. Still acknowledge each other verbally, but they don't need to help each other now.
No, and so here's what I see, and I'm making the prediction now, is this whole Bayley heel thing will ride out until February, March. Then Bayley turns on Sasha. Mm-hmm. And WrestleMania, we get face Bayley versus heel Sasha at WrestleMania, which will likely steal the show.
I was thinking the other way around.
Heel Bayley versus face Sasha. I mean, it's possible.
But I was going the same route. They're gonna ride this all the way out to about that.
But
January,
it will come
February.
down to the two of them.
Yeah, but I think Sasha's gonna be the face. I think she's gonna be a face very soon.
Could be
if they keep. Because it could be Bayley being the strong monster heel out of the both of them, and then Sasha being the badass baby.
Well, I mean, and
in her own way,
Bayley's bigger than Sasha,
right? And more solid in the ring, so it'll be good. I'm looking forward to it.
So,
There's one thing I can take away from the heel turn.
what's that?
It's just the expression on Bayley's face as she turned. It didn't really, her facial expression didn't really sell it for me.
On Monday?
Mm-hmm.
No, dude, the smile. Did you not see the smile that she gave to Sasha?
To me, it looked like she was just.
That was sinister.
Bayley.
No, that was like a sinister smile, dude. She thought about going against Sasha, but then it just clicked, and she just, let Becky have it. You got it.
I mean, that's my opinion.
Yeah,
to me, it just looked like it was just normal Bayley.
Yeah, and
I get it. But
it
was a sinister smile. It wasn't a normal Bayley. I mean, it was almost a smirk. Mm-hmm. But I get exactly where you're coming from. It could have easily been interpreted that way.
Yeah.
I don't really. There's nothing else on this card that I'm excited about.
No.
If I'm honest.
I mean, there's a few things we could get into, but nothing that we need to right now.
No, I think that probably the match of the night for that night is going to come down to, and I can't believe I'm going to say this, but it's either going to be The Miz Shinsuke, because I think that match has the ability to steal the show, or the King of the Ring final. I think either of those two matches have the potential to steal the show.
I think it's going to be one of the women's matches. And I'm kind of leaning towards Becky, or I keep saying Becky, Bayley and Charlotte.
So who's your prediction? So we're down to the two semifinal matches for the King of the Ring. So who's your prediction? Who's going to face off at Clash of the Champions for the title of being King of the Ring? Amen?
I think it's going to be Gable and Corbin.
You think so?
Mm-hmm. I think
Smoking?
the reaction... Okay.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, you're good.
Nope, continue. I'm waiting.
Okay. I think the reaction Gable got on Tuesday was strong. I could be biased, but...
Shorty G.
Yeah. But he was so over, and I was legit excited that he won. I jumped up, I don't know if you saw that angle, but it was
obstructed by blinding light.
Probably. But no, I think it's gonna, because it's an easy story to tell with what they've been doing. He's that small little guy I think he's adorable. With his little haircut, he fits the role. He's that nerdy little dude, who always got picked last, but he's a phenomenal athlete. Everyone likes him. No one dislikes him, but he's easy to pick on. Yeah. But you choose him, because he's a good hand. But I think it's going to be him and then Corbin being that nasty heel, just completely crushes Gable's dreams, and then now he can go on and brag to be the king forever.
Yeah, I don't really have a prediction on who Corbin faces, but I think Corbin's going to win the whole thing.
Corbin, I can hear him now bragging about that. And just seeing him with the crown.
He's already set in the crown.
I think it's perfect. At this point, with who's left, that's how I would do it.
That's so disappointing.
Right.
But I agree. I do think that's what it's going to come down to.
Because what else are they going to have Baron Corbin do?
I mean, I think Corbin could be fine,
Unless they ship him back off to SmackDown, which I think he was better suited for anyways.
Yeah, he would be a very good fit for SmackDown.
So, that's how quick our script can disappear. Hey man, it's the green sheet that you have to hold up to the paper, not the white one. But so that's going to take up our entire wrestling news. Last week we announced that we were going to be bringing in every single week the Poke the Bear segment, where we were going to accept questions from our listeners and viewers throughout the course of the week, and you could submit those either through Facebook or to our email account. And I would choose some questions that we were going to ask the cast. I am happy to tell you that there's no one in this room that knows the questions that have been chosen, with the exception of myself and Nico. We are aware of the questions that I have chosen, one for each particular individual. Please understand that if your question was not chosen to be covered tonight, it does not mean we will not use it in the future. We're literally going to catalog these. I will tell you that if you ask something that's inappropriate about one of the cast members, we're not going to ask that question. I'm not going to put myself or anybody on this show in a position to be, I'm going to make them uncomfortable, but I'm not going to put them in a position to answer something that's not appropriate for anyone to know outside of the entertainment value. So, Double K, again, absent from tonight's show due to a family emergency. We're going to at least talk about what his question was.
I've been down here.
So I will ask that one last. I'm going to start with a man.
I'm really nervous.
Your question is from @RiverDiver356, and the question is, what is up with your name?
It's actually very simple. My first name is Ashley, so it's just the letter A, and my last name is Man. So I think you were the first person to ever call me A Man when we used to work together back in the day, and that ironically stuck for whatever reason. I don't even think you know that, but a lot of people there called me A Man for the longest time. For the longest time. It was just, and you just, it was just always
That's what I've always called you.
Yeah, so it's just something that carried on.
So
yeah, it's a very simple, probably boring, sorry answer, but yeah, nothing creative behind it. Yeah. Just literally.
No package.
Yeah.
But the next question is going to be. Sorry, I'm getting distracted.
I can tell.
The reality of asking that question is, I knew the answer,
right,
but I wanted to see how you were going to respond to it.
You know how many people, my friends that have actually listened, have asked me?
Really? Mm-hmm. I mean, yeah, it kind of. I never obviously thought about it in any other way. I guess besides the obvious.
Well,
Man.
Yeah, it's there's a lot of irony behind that now at this point.
There truly is.
But
truly,
it's whoever knew when I first. That was what I called you. It was A Man. Smokey, your question comes from. And so I want you to know that I didn't even realize this till I just read the name of the person. But I'm going to ask you the question first, and then the name actually makes it better. The question comes out of Seattle. And the question is, are you intimidated or just lazy for not speaking? The question is from, again, Seattle, and the user's name is @DoubleDipper.
Oh, gosh, that's so awesome.
Well, I'll be honest with you.
Bravo to you, Double Dipper.
I would say I'm lazy. I'm too lazy to even say that.
Oh, that's so great.
Half the time it's just more being tired.
And it's probably hard to get a word in with...
Yeah, when you got these three over here to talk all the time. Well, these two.
There's two right now.
Double K.
Yeah.
A lot of the time I try to say something and then I get cut out, so...
That is true.
I think what we need to do is get you a buzzer. So,
I'm going to try to talk.
When you want to speak, you hit the buzzer.
Right.
And then that tells us that Smokey wants to say something. Either just blow some vape smoke into the camera or something, and we'll...
Live up to your gimmick.
Right now, so...
So, Double K is not with us tonight. I was so excited to ask him this question, and now he's going to get a whole week to think about his answer. Ooh. So the question comes out of Colorado, and the question is from @Miss Tink Tink.
That's awesome.
The question for Double K is, do you even actually watch wrestling?
Oh.
That is the question for
Miss
Double K.
Ting. Ooh, dropping the
So now Double K
and
gets.
these are our first questions.
These are our first. Well, there was like 40 that were submitted, and I chose. Yeah, I chose 3.
Wow. Is he
It
watching?
was. It was.
Do we know if he is watching at this moment?
In fact, I know he is not watching at this
I'm
moment.
sure he is occupied at the moment.
He is occupied, but
I'm sure he will go back.
he is. I'm almost kind of glad that he wasn't here to ask that question too, because it may not have gone
I would
well.
have loved to see the look on his face on that one.
That was Miss Tink Tink.
That was from Miss Tink Tink at Miss Tink
You go,
Tink,
Miss Tink Tink.
out of Colorado, and the question was, "Do you actually watch wrestling?" Folks, these questions
That
are
would've been-
spot on for what this segment. That's why we called it "Poke the Bear," of asking questions that were direct and blunt. And
I could see it right now. Double K's face turning. Just, That's about as red as that can right there.
so,
Trying not to
actually,
say words that you know
I
he
can
wants to
see
say.
probably exactly what would have happened. The hat would have come off. Then he would have leaned forward after that deep breath, and then he would have said, "Now see, there's words I can't say because they're protected. But why don't you just show up here and ask me that question, and we'll talk about the answer."
It's about right.
That's pretty spot on for what is likely to come out of Double K's mouth. Either that, or he'd have thrown his hat down, said, "I'm done with this," with a few
And
expletives, got up and left.
Might have a flipped over table, but
That would have been it. I mean, I'm excited. Folks, keep the questions coming. That's exactly the type of stuff that we were looking for, is questions that are thought-provoking. Hopefully they won't always be, directed at the host. But these were great questions for the first one.
They were.
There were, when I saw that one for Double K, I just went, "Oh, I can't not do this. I have to ask this question."
is that the one you were laughing at earlier, Nico?
I can't wait to hear Double K's thoughts on whether or not he actually watches wrestling.
So should we tell him to watch it and then give us his thoughts on our?
I believe his
message?
wife is watching, so it will probably get back to him somehow or another.
Tell him to put his thoughts in
I
our
wish
group
we could see
message.
his reaction.
I want to
Especially
know.
since he'll be in an uncensored environment.
Oh, yeah,
before, to
yeah.
get the true reaction.
I need him to get all that out
I need
before he
her to
gets in front of a
record it.
microphone.
Oh my
But
gosh, that's so great.
so that's going to wrap up our Poke the Bear segment. Thanks again, folks, for the questions. Keep up the great work. That was an outstanding start for the week. This moves on to our final activity for the evening, which is the same as it always is. You're going to get the illustrious blue buzzer. And Nico giving us our graphic there for his... The title that we defend here on Wrestle Rewind for our trivia episodes, the WWE Intercontinental Replica title. A-Man, the reigning, defending
Undisputed.
Wrestle Rewind trivia champion. Smokey Z, your chances of winning tonight increased by at least 12% to me, or more than that, more like 15%. However... did you say it was Scott Steiner math?
I've never seen that.
Oh, yes. Yes.
So great.
So, folks, tonight's questions are going to come from unique matches throughout WWE. The first 10 questions they will all be multiple choice questions. The first 10 questions are designed specifically around unique matches. The last 5 questions are designed around the Elimination Chamber. 1 point awarded for each question. Between the two of you, whoever has the most points at the end of the 15 questions will be the either new and first-time Wrestle Rewind Trivia Champion, or the continuously defending Wrestle Rewind Champion.
Someone's got to do it.
You may buzz in, although once one of you answers, the other will be provided an opportunity to choose from the remaining 3 answers to receive a point. because it's multiple choice.
I'm gonna win that thing
I
one
blanked out. I didn't
time
hear what you
at
just
least.
said.
Both of you get a chance to answer.
Oh, okay. So,
However, if you answer correctly and you buzz in first,
I'm out.
well, if you answer correctly, then that means you
correctly,
get the
yeah.
point.
Yeah.
Whoever lets her try to keep
I thought you
score.
said 8. Dude.
So
She said Scott Steiner, man.
she wrote it. All right, question number 1. What 2006 pay-per-view saw the first ever Punjabi prison match? Smokey Z.
Taboo Tuesday.
That is incorrect.
Judgment Day.
That is also incorrect. Both of you buzzed in before I could provide the 4 multiple choice options.
Oh.
Were they at least
But you both clicked the button before that, so I wasn't going to read them.
Ow.
The correct answer to that question was the Great American Bash. I will give you a point if you
Really?
can tell me who were the participants in that match. Amen.
Great Khali. And Batista?
That is incorrect.
Ooh, that's what I was gonna say.
Was that 1 out of 2?
That's correct. It was 1 out of 2.
No.
Smokey Z, do you have a guess?
I'm trying because I can see the match. I just can't remember who he was wrestling.
Nico's giving me my countdown. 4, 3, 2, 1.
Triple H.
That is also incorrect. The correct answer was the Great Khali and the Undertaker.
I was going to say
Were
Undertaker.
the 2 individuals in the first Punjabi prison match.
And then Taker did one against Big Show, right?
I don't know if that one was Punjabi prison. I think we've seen the
There-
Great
there was
Khali
only
or
2.
Jinder Mahal in
Yeah.
There was a Batista Great Khali Punjabi prison match, and then there was a Jinder Mahal Randy Orton Punjabi prison match.
You mean
Okay.
Question number 2: Whom did
It's not
Mankind
important anyway.
face in the first ever Boiler Room Brawl? Was it A, Kane, B, the Big Boss Man, C, the Undertaker, or D, Triple H? 1 minute, 30 seconds on the clock. Amen.
B. Boss Man.
That is incorrect. Your remaining options, Smokey Z, are Kane, the Undertaker,
Oh.
or Triple H.
is it Kane?
That is also incorrect. The correct answer is the Undertaker. Question number 3. Who lost his job as a result of the lose a pink slip on a pole match during the McMahon-Helmsley era on Raw? Was it The Rock, the British Bulldog, Steve Austin, or Mankind?
Can you give the answers one more time?
The Rock, Steve Austin, the British Bulldog, or Mankind?
Mankind?
That is correct. The answer was Mankind. Amen with the first point on the board.
It's about time one of us got a point.
Question number 4. Who faced Ken Shamrock in a Lion's Den match at SummerSlam 1998? Was it Dan Severn, Al Snow, Owen Hart, or Steve Blackman?
Was it Owen Hart?
It was Owen Hart. Smokey Z with a point on the board.
Look at you, Smokey Z.
Question number 5. Who pinned Pat Patterson during his evening gown match with Gerald Briscoe at the King of the Ring 2000 in order to win the WWE Hardcore Championship? Was it Raven, Tommy Dreamer, Hardcore Holly, or Crash Holly? Smokey Z.
Crash Holly.
It was Crash Holly. Smokey Z with his second point.
Aww.
Question number 6. What odd character competed in the APA Invitational Barroom Brawl at Vengeance 2003? Santa Claus, Uncle Sam, the Easter Bunny, or the Tooth Fairy?
Uncle Sam.
That is incorrect. Your remaining choices, Amen, are Santa Claus, the Easter Bunny, or the Tooth Fairy.
What pay-per-view was it?
Vengeance 2003. She's trying to think of the time of the year. I knew what you were doing.
It was Santa Claus, Easter Bunny, and what was the other
The
one?
Tooth Fairy.
I'm just trying to picture, like, what outfit would the Tooth Fairy have worn?
It's a fairy.
Wings.
Yeah, but it's WWE. I would just assume they would do something campy. Like, walk out in a giant tooth or something stupid.
Didn't The Rock show up on television after he did the
Yeah,
Tooth
50
Fairy?
seconds remaining.
Should I just go with the Tooth Fairy? Because I don't think Vengeance is... Oh! Vengeance. Or... Santa Claus.
That is incorrect. The
Really?
correct answer is the Easter Bunny.
Wait, Vengeance is in December, right?
I don't know when Vengeance of 2003 was.
I gotta look that up.
No Way Out's been in November, and it's been in February.
That's true. Alright, whatever, I'm wrong.
Question number 7. What pay-per-view saw the first tables, ladders, and chairs match in 2000? Was it A, the Royal Rumble, B, WrestleMania, Amen?
SummerSlam.
That is correct. The answer is SummerSlam. Tie game. Option number C was SummerSlam.
Yeah.
Question number 8. A spin of the wheel determined the type of match between Cactus Jack and Vader at Halloween Havoc 1993. Where did the wheel stop? Was it A, First Blood, B, Falls Count Anywhere, C, Texas Death Match, D, Barbed Wire?
Who were the two?
I completely missed
Cactus Jack and Big Van Vader. I will give you a hint. I mean, the pay-per-view name should tell you where this was. Halloween Havoc was a WCW pay-per-view.
Yeah, I knew that. What were the
First
matches?
Blood, Falls Count Anywhere, Texas Death, or Barbed Wire? Smokey Z.
Falls Count Anywhere.
That is incorrect.
I, for whatever reason, cannot process anything about this question or these answers.
What does that even mean?
I cannot recall the question that you said twice.
I got a question.
Because at first I wasn't paying attention, so I missed it.
I
And
have
when
a
was
question.
trying to go back and listen the second time, I was thinking
Pretty
of
much,
the answer.
what kind of match did they have? Is pretty much the question.
And you said the Texas one?
No, I said the Falls Count Anywhere.
I'm gonna go Texas.
Texas Deathmatch is correct.
Oh crap! Okay.
Amen with the third point of the evening.
Sign a double K seat and that's what happens.
Right.
Right. Question number 9. What was not one of the 3 stages of hell when Shawn Michaels and Triple H wrestled for the World Heavyweight Championship at Armageddon in 2002? Was it A, ladder, B, street fight, D, steel cage, or C, submission?
You say which one wasn't?
Was not.
Ladder.
That is incorrect. Amen.
Submission.
That is correct. That was not one of the 3 stages of hell. Question number 10. The Rock and Mankind wrestled for the WWE Championship in an empty arena at halftime of what Super Bowl? Was it Super Bowl 31, Super Bowl 32, Super Bowl 33, or Super Bowl 34?
What Super Bowl are we on right now? Or is coming
Like
up this
53.
year?
32.
That is incorrect.
I'm gonna go 33.
That is correct. The correct answer is Super Bowl 33. Amen with 5 questions.
Look at that comeback.
Yes. Smokey Z, you will. You're going to need to get at least one of the next 2 right.
No pressure.
Actually, in fact, I can tell you that if you do not get one of the next 2 correct, she has effectively eliminated you from this contest. We now move on to the Elimination Chamber specific questions. Question number 1. At which 2002 event did the first Elimination Chamber take place? Amen.
Survivor Series.
That is correct.
In Madison Square Garden, Shawn Michaels won.
Smokey Z, she has now effectively eliminated you from tonight's contest. There are not enough points left for you to tie the...
This is what gold looks like.
Actually, that's incorrect. You still have one more
Oh,
chance.
damn, I already started bragging, dude.
So you have one more chance. If he gets all 4, the next question you miss, this is over. Question number 12. Who was the last man to enter the match in the first Elimination Chamber match? Was it Rob Van Dam, Chris Jericho, Triple H, or Shawn Michaels? Amen.
Shawn Michaels.
That is correct. It was Shawn Michaels. Now 7 points. You are mathematically eliminated.
Because that was the match that Triple H or RVD broke Triple H's collarbone.
Crushed his larynx.
Or that too.
Yeah, crushed his larynx.
Yeah.
Smokey Z, you had a valiant effort there. You gave me a lot of hope. I thought you were going to perform a lot better.
I was nervous there for a split second.
Oh, she didn't even give you a full second. It was a split second.
No, a split second.
So, folks, that's going to wrap up another episode of Wrestle Rewind for us. Again, listeners, keep up the wonderful questions of sending them into the team. I'll make sure to filter them and get the right ones to the folks. Smokey Z, first night being on camera for the full show, so congratulations. However, it's not the same without Double K being here, and we wish his family all the best as they work through this. So, folks, thank you for spending time with us as always on your Thursday nights. We appreciate it because you don't have to. A-Man remains our reigning, defending Wrestle Rewind trivia champion. Next week's episode, we will be previewing the Clash of the Champions card as we move into the middle of September. And, folks, we are rapidly approaching the 6-month out mark from WrestleMania, which is hard to believe.
That's insane.
We're only about 8 months away right now, so WrestleMania season is going to be here before we know it. As always, thank you for the time this evening, folks. We appreciate it. Continue to keep the questions coming. We'll make them entertaining. And I'm Tommy T.
Amen.
Smokey Z.
And we will see you folks next week for a live Wrestle Rewind.